Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in to what's going to be another video where I essentially destroy a palette a little bit by crushing up each shade inside, mixing them all together, and then seeing what color we get. In today's video, as I'm sure you could tell by the title, it is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Right after I filmed that first video that I did doing the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone, the original one, not the new one, which I will link by the way if you want to click the eye up here or in the description box below. But in the comment section of that video, a couple of you had suggested that I do the Modern Renaissance as well, and after having done the Wet n Wild and seeing that you don't have to destroy the whole pan in order to just get a little bit of a shave of powder to combine all together, I was way less scared to use a palette that I know and love and am curious about, but I'm not quite ready for it to be totally destroyed. So here I have actually already crushed it up. You can see the palette's perfectly intact. There's a ton of colors left from all of these to use. That said, I'm not sure I'll do the same with something that's a little softer pressed like Subculture, but who knows, maybe it would be an interesting try in an upcoming one of these videos. And here it is all crushed up together. So you can see in the swatches, which by the way are both dry and wet. The first one is dry, the second one is wet. I just used a little bit of MAC Fix Plus to foil that across the back of my hand. But you can see it's this gorgeous dusty rose kind of shade, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought given the shimmers in this palette and given the really vibrant berries in this palette, it would have been a little bit more bold and bright. But I think the number of neutral shades in here, mid-tone brownie neutrals and that deeper chocolatey brown cypress umber, might have taken those down a notch and made this less of anything shimmery. It's really more of a satin, almost borderline matte, dusty rose kind of color. So let's go ahead and apply it. All right, so here I have a double-ended It Cosmetics. This is the Heavenly Luxe No Tug Dual Eyeshadow Brush with an all-over kind of fluffier shadow brush on one side and then a narrow, short smudge brush on the other side. I'm just gonna go in right into the center of this pile where it's most evenly blended and go to town. So I feel like this one is a little bit more what I expected to look like on the eye, whereas the Comfort Zone had that duochrome element, and so you couldn't really tell until it was on how it would lay across the lid, how complex it would look across the lid. This is pretty much what I would have expected. I'm gonna keep going on this eye still dry for now, but then once I have both of these on, I am gonna try it wet. So here it is applied to both of my eyes. I have to say I'm surprised at how smoky it looks. I thought it was going to be light enough to where it didn't give that kind of smoky eye effect. It was going to be more of a light wash of color across the lid, but I do kind of like how smoky it looks. And granted, I am wearing mascara. I was doing a demo earlier for a new mascara that you'll see a review of up here coming soon. So I think that adds to the smoky effect as well. But overall, I like the way it looks. I'm not sure it's totally unique. Like I'm going to look for other similar colors from other palettes to see if there's anything similar. Something tells me I'll find it, but I do like that it didn't pull so berry that I have to use another color or two to kind of take it down, because those pinks and berries, for as much as I love them, can make you look a little bit sick. So I am glad I didn't have to kind of supplement this with anything else. It really is a one and done shadow if you want it to be. Now let's try foiling it with a little bit of Fix Plus. So that's kind of interesting. I like that. Foiling not only intensified the color, which I would have guessed, but it also really brought out the satin finish of it. It really is no longer just a matte shadow. There is a definitive like silvery taupe sheen across my lids, which I really like. It adds a hint of complexity. All right, so I just got done going through my collection trying to find a similar shadow or dupe for the Frankenstein shadow I just made from the Modern Renaissance, and here are the results. The first palette that I went to thinking there is for sure a dupe in here was the It Cosmetics Naturally Pretty palette. I was thinking the purples were a little bit more reddy berry than I initially thought, but it turns out these are a little bit too plummy and not enough berry red that the Modern Renaissance has. So there are no dupes in this palette. Where I did happen to have some luck though, first was the Viseart Dark Matte palette. The shadow up here in the top row, which is not quite as purple or reddy berry as the one in the second row, but has just enough of that dark brown undertone. That's pretty close. However, because it's a totally matte shadow, once you foil this guy, it's not going to have the shimmery or taupe complexity that the Modern Renaissance Franken shadow does when you apply it to the lid. One that's probably even closer and cheaper than Viseart, which is nice, comes from the Wet n Wild Au Naturel. Au Naturel. I'm not sure why that was so hard to say. The Au Natural palette from Wet n Wild. And there is not only this deep maroon shade here that worn alone is kind of close, but once you combine it with some of these shimmery lighter shades in here, you can get pretty stinking close to what this shadow is, which makes sense because really at first glance this looks very, but minus the bright berries from the Modern Renaissance, this looks very similar. I guess it might be a little closer to the Naked 3 from Urban Decay, but still pretty similar. And honestly, I think from those 3 shadows that I used at the very end of the swatch you're about to see or have already seen, I think that's probably the closest you're gonna get to all those that can be created from the Modern Renaissance palette. But still, no one single shadow can dupe what I just created using that palette. So that is it. That's what happens when you crush up all the shades of your Modern Renaissance palette and wear them as one shadow. I hope you still find these videos entertaining. If you do, give this video a like to let me know, and also let me know which palette you want to see this done with next. Honestly, I've been giving it some thought, and I think I want to do the Urban Decay Kristen Leanne collab palette, the Kaleidoscope one, not the neutral one, but the one with all those vivid brights. That's the one that I want to try next. But let me know if you agree, disagree in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye guys.